And so, to me, the idea that I could actually study hearing and learn about how to treat hearing loss in people that couldn't hear music was a pretty nice fit. And so this picture that's behind me is actually what's called the temporal bone. And so if all of you were to somehow be able to look inside the structures behind the ear and understand what's going on to make you hear, you would see this amazing structure called the temporal bone. And the fact that you can hear my voice is a pretty miraculous thing. The way it works is the following. Sound, any sound, music, speech, anything, it's a vibration in the air. And that vibration goes into our ears through the hole, goes down the ear canal and starts vibrating the eardrum. Little motion of the eardrum then gets converted down into 3 little hearing bones. Those 3 hearing bones then articulate with what's called the inner ear or the cochlea. And in that inner ear, the most amazing thing happens. Sound ceases to be acoustic. There's no longer vibrations inside the inner ear. It changes into electricity. Okay? Your ear converts sound into electricity, sends that electricity up your hearing nerve, which then goes up into your brain and gets reassembled. So let's listen to a little music to understand this.
Interesting choice.
That's about 8 seconds of music. Does anyone not feel a little bit better now? That is kind of the mystery of music. How is it that that can change your life? Now, this may just change your life for 10 seconds, but there are people in this room who have changed their entire lives for music, for sound, for vibration in the air that's changing their life because electricity somehow got reassembled in their brain into this thing that you find life-changing, beautiful, profound, things that you want to ask about and understand. And so for me, I'm still always fascinated to this day by this question of how it is that we hear sound, how it is that we make sound, how it is that we create music, and how it is that we generate a new idea using music as kind of the model. And so when I got into the field of otology, I thought, okay, this is going to be great. I'm going to learn all about music. But here's what happened when I got there. I heard a lot of this. Now, most of you have probably had hearing tests, and I was kind of astonished to learn that that's basically where the field of otology and audiology is. We use, blips and bleeps for the mainstay of our work, and although that's really an important thing, it's called a pure tone, it's extremely important. It's very hard to get from there to understand what this amazing jazz group was doing just 15 minutes ago on stage. And so I set out kind of on this journey to try to put these pieces together a little bit. And I keep in mind that in no way do I think I have the answers. What I think that I have is questions that I've articulated in a way that can be studied. And hopefully you'll find some relevance in these studies in your own work as you think about the arts, the importance of art education, and why it is that creativity affects the brain in such an important way. Now, obviously it all comes down to the brain. I think the most amazing experience I had in medical school was dissecting the brain. Because it's a little morbid sounding, but you have the privilege of learning from somebody who passed away. And in one part of medical school, you have to remove the brain and study it, which means you have to hold the brain. And you can hold the entire brain in your hand. It's very petite in a sense, actually surprisingly petite. And when you're holding the brain, you cannot help but be affected and think to yourself, wow, this entire person's life, everything they ever thought, felt, dreamed, wondered, heard, it's right here in my hands. And so the brain is where we have to look if we want to understand the neuroscience of something like art. Staring at the ear all day long is not going to teach us how the brain has assembled these things and made them important. It just will not work. We have to look deeper than the ear. Now, this is a functional connectivity video that's going to show you what happens in the brain, all the connections that are active when you're listening to Astor Piazzolla. And this is from Nico Sams in Helsinki.